Hi, I'm Bethany Rogers, and you're watching a special edition of Orlando Sentinel's Politics Now. Today we're going to be talking to candidates who are running for Apopka City Council in Seat 4, and I'm here joined by candidate Kyle Becker and also Young Kim. They're both running for that seat. We were not joined today by Commissioner Bill Arrowsmith, who is also running for that seat. We wanted to start out by finding a little bit more about you guys. So if Kyle, you could kick things off by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Great, thanks Bethany. My name's Kyle Becker. I was born and raised right here in the Central Florida area. I moved to Apopka about 10 years ago with my wife Kelly. We have three beautiful daughters, Madeline, Emily, and Lucy. My family is like many families in Apopka, where we do a lot of our day-to-day activities outside of our city limits. You know, Apopka's been known for years to be a bedroom community. And really we're trying to change that, or I'm trying to change that if elected, with a renewed focus on economic development, both bringing in professional employment opportunities, secondary education, dining, shopping, and all the amenities that we've talked about for years in Apopka. I just really want to actually come to fruition. So that's why I'm running.
Young, how about you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, my name is Young Kim, and I was born in Long Beach, California, and I came over to Apopka in 1988. And I'm actually at an implant in Apopka, and I integrated into Apopka's culture, and it's an amazing culture. And what I want to just tell everyone about myself is my list of achievements. I have a master's in political science, and I obtained it in Germany. I have a Juris Doctorate of Law degree, which I obtained local here in Orlando. I'm a small business owner of a local furniture store in Apopka, and also a founder of a nonprofit organization. I'll be the ideal candidate for this job position because we have a big issue from the federal, state, and local levels of government, and that's primarily special interest groups. Pretty much when any politician gets elected, money influences politics so much to a large degree that they stop thinking about the community and also the nation. So if I get elected, I'll concentrate my energies on the community itself, and that's my message here.
All right, thank you. So the first question we have, recent visioning sessions found that residents want more recreation opportunities like a pool, skate park, splash pad, and other amenities. But given fiscal constraints, how would you decide which projects to pursue first? And Young, how about you take that question first?
Okay, pretty much I always concentrate on low infrastructure projects, things that don't cost too much. We have a $90 million budget in our city's budget, and the thing is, I would just pretty much concentrate on things that don't take too much financial resources. For example, a splash pad. You put a couple of benches around Kit Nelson Park, and you'll see that like everywhere in like New York City or like California. And it just water just pumps out of the thing. Is excellent for children and mothers who can all just talk and converse with each other. And I think that's low investment projects such as that would just be ideal for what I would try to strive for.
Kyle?
Great. Yeah, I mean, from a recreational standpoint, there's a lot to be desired within the city of Apopka. We have a world-class facility with the Northwest Recreation Complex up north of Apopka, but we're lacking in areas throughout the city. I fully support the idea of putting a community pool in there, splash pad, but from a fiscal standpoint, it's really about looking at our budget and finding areas where we can use those monies. From how we make a determination on what we put in, it's really prioritizing what's most important to our residents. And then once we have that prioritized list, we can kind of talk about how we're going to pay for it. One way that we could potentially pay for something like that is we do own a lot of land within the city of Apopka. We could look at some of those land, the current land use, and potentially sell those off to help pay for or help offset the cost of something like that.
Okay, great. Next question. Residents have called for more dining options in Apopka, but attracting these businesses to the city has been a struggle. What would be your plan for bringing more restaurants to Apopka?
Yeah, it's really, from Apopka, it's about telling our story. I don't think we've done enough outbound telling of our story there within the city of Apopka, and I think there's a lot of demand built up within the city of Apopka. It's putting a focus on economic development. I think they've taken a step to hire a community development resource to start doing some of that work. And it's about going out into the community and telling our story. We have our household median income is higher than the state average. It's higher than a lot of our neighboring cities. yet we do half of the retail sales that Sanford does, Winter Garden, and we do a third of the food sales that Sanford and Winter Garden do. So I think we have a lot of resources to spend. We're just not really taking advantage of that.
Young?
I guess my idea would be, again, low infrastructure projects. We have a big blighted area here in downtown Apopka. It's right across from City Hall. And have you heard of like Melrose Place or Soho in New York? Pretty much a lot of, you do basically attract, entice artisans, people who want to develop it and bring their own pocketbooks, their own money to invest in that area. So what I would do is create an art community hub with cafes, a brewery, art galleries, and they do this all throughout the, the U.S. And it's the best way to do it without affecting taxpayers, property taxes. So we had that already in Winter Park. Are you familiar with Stardust? It's just low investments, and that's the way I would head.
Great. Do you think the city should continue its red light camera program? Explain why or why not.
This is a tough question because the city itself is stating that primarily they have those cameras for safety purposes. And the thing is, there's study A that's basically states that having those cameras reduces accidents, and a study B group says it increases accidents. But the thing is, what I would do, since the city is arguing safety concerns, why don't we do like an independent, neutral study to finally just lay this question to rest? And that's what I would propose. So if basically increases accidents, then we should keep them. But if they don't, we should get rid of them. But I primarily feel that I think the last thing I just wanted to say is, basically, red light cameras is bad for tourism for Apopka. And I think if I was going to argue this point, we want to attract people to come into Apopka.
Kyle?
So, I mean, I agree with what Young is saying in terms of making a compelling argument to say that it's truly safety related in terms of our purpose for red light cameras. Back in 2005 or 2006, when Chief Favrik at the time for the city of Apopka implemented the red light cameras, it was more behind the idea of enforcement versus safety. So I do not support red light cameras if it's just a primary source of revenue for the city. If you look at the sheer number of traffic lights or red light citations that were issued in 2014 for the city of Apopka, it was still 22,000. So if we're trying to deter red light running, 22,000 seems like a very high number for me. So again, like Young was saying, we need to make a compelling argument that it's a safety issue.
Okay. How would you go about bringing greater diversity to the city workforce?
Really, I think it's, first and foremost, I agree that the city workforce needs to reflect the diverse nature of the city of Apopka. The city of Apopka is, I think, 49% Caucasian, 25% Hispanic, and the remainder African American. So we have a very diverse city. Our school system has a third split. So what it tells us is that our diversity is going to continue becoming more diverse. And I truly believe that our city staff needs to reflect that diversity. And a lot of people would say that currently it does not. So I think it's all about, again, advertising the spot nationally, regionally, across the state, within professional groups that promote diversity, and really opening it up to a resource pool so that we're attracting the best and brightest talent for the city of Apopka.
Okay, great. Young, how about you? What do you think about that question?
Basically, it's a very simple answer to this question, and I would just say that people have to know that there are jobs that are basically being possibly offered by the city. So you would have to basically market that there's jobs available in the city. For example, the Hispanic population, they have a language barrier, so basically you need to translate that marketing and target people in the Spanish community. Secondly, also we have people who are socioeconomically not disadvantaged. They may have maybe reading problems or literacy problems. So the thing is, we need maybe boots on the ground to go to that community and just tell them that there's jobs available. Lastly, what I would do is just basically have a level of transparency, because the problem with many governments today is including city, is special interest groups. So the thing is, when you're contracting out those jobs, it's going to people who rub their shoulders with people that brought them into power. So the thing is, what I would do is just make it transparent, let them bid out for those jobs. If there's a contract that's involved, let them bid. The lowest bidder wins, and they get the contract. And it should just be open to whatever economic class you belong to.
Great. One last question. Residents in southern Apopka feel their neighborhoods get less attention from the city than other parts of the community. What would you do to address this perception and the disparities that exist in the city?
What part again?
Southern Apopka.
And addressing the disparities in
Yes.
South Apopka? As I said again, I think we need to spend money in the infrastructure of South Apopka. It's really blighted. It almost looks like it's almost like a third world country back there in South Apopka. And the thing is, I think people tend to have a problem ignoring that situation, but it's always going to be there, and we need to address that and come to the realization that there are people who need help in that community. For example, there's a lot of crime that's in that area. So what I would do is to reduce that crime is to create a transportation hub to take these kids who have issues to after-school programs and also vocational programs, and that'll reduce the problems and also thereby helping the community out. And so number two is just basically spending money on infrastructure to just paving the streets, making the roads a little bit better, just making the place aesthetically looking better, and they'll give a lot of confidence in that community.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, South Apopka has a very community feel to it, and they do feel like they're underrepresented when it comes to spending services, recreational opportunities that are there within South Apopka. We do have some underutilized tools that I think we could use. The Community Redevelopment Act funds have not really been used. It's an underutilized tool to help kind of redevelop that area. The Brownfield redevelopment program that they've tried to implement here recently, I think will go very far in just aesthetically bringing South Apopka to a place where people can take some pride in terms of brick and mortar buildings. But yeah, I mean, in terms of, we were talking about recreation before, it's having a focus that we shouldn't focus on the northern part of Apopka or the east or west. We have to consider the entirety of Apopka, and South Apopka being one of those places.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to have some parting words now from both of you. So, Kim, anything you'd want to say in closing?
Am I doing my conclusion?
Yes.
I just want to just basically convey to my supporters that the reason that they should vote for me is that Apopka is exponentially growing. People from Ohio, people from throughout the nation are coming to Apopka because of its rural beauty. And the thing is, we need a person in that seat 4, that understands the dynamic growth and the different persons and individuals that come to the community. It's no longer an agrarian society. It's a society with people from Ohio, people who are Hispanic. It's a mixed group of, it's a hodgepodge of people. So the thing is, I just personally feel that with my master's degree that I obtained in Germany, that I have an international perspective, that I understand those cultural dimensions of our I guess, Apopka. And lastly, I just wanted to emphasize that I also do have a law degree, which I obtained local here in Orlando, which will help me cut through that red tape. We have all these ordinances, and those ordinances are so outdated that we need to pretty much revise them and update them, so we can run that city more efficiently and have it more accessible to a lot of people who need services from the city. And lastly, I just want to basically close that we need to become fiscally responsible also. Apopka has the Apopka City has a $90 million budget, but the thing is, we can't just always spend that money all the time. We have to be reasonable. We need to keep costs down, not affect taxpayers, and also provide the best quality service, whether it be a police protection, water utilities, everything that's afforded by paying your property taxes. And this is my commitment to the city of Apopka, to keep those property taxes down and give you the best quality service that Apopka can provide. Thank you.
Kyle?
Great, thank you. So in closing, I moved to Apopka 10 years ago, and to me, it looks the same. It has the same look and feel as I did 10 years ago. We've become a stagnant city, and my family is like many families. Like I said at the beginning, we spend too much time outside of the city of Apopka. So my focus is going to be on economic development to bring the types of businesses that people are requesting, so that they can spend more time with their families at home, and spend money within our city, so that we can benefit from that. I feel like my professional background as a business analyst will help me in that endeavor. My job is to really engage stakeholders in my business life. So if you say stakeholders are residents, my job is to understand resident needs, what's driving those needs, and what their requirements are. And it's my job to help develop solutions, and at the same time of understanding the cost to develop those solutions, the risks, the impacts, and the dependencies. But ultimately, it's about creating a better Apopka, and we've been quite stagnant for the 39 years that the incumbent has been in office thus far.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. For more information on this race and others, visit www.orlandosentinel.com. Thank you.